This review is for PTSD Radio by Masaki Nakayama. This is a horror comic, so not one that I would normally review. It's one that my husband read and asked me to sort of have a look at and see what I thought as well, because he wasn't quite sure what to think. He's now 2 books in and still not sure what he entirely thinks about it, and I kind of see some of his points. This is a horror comic. It's told in very short sections, all of which kind of have something quite creepy happening in, and then the story just stops and jumps to another part of the story, often with like a kind of creepy sort of almost like jump scare in between. As you read it, like in my initial thoughts were that was all it was trying to do. It was a bit of a gimmick, and it was trying to just kind of jump scare you and have like all these interconnected stories, or like stories that didn't seem that interconnected, but as you read you do realize that there's a link between the stories, and that kind of recontextualizes like the creepy things that are happening and makes them more than just a bit random. So they're sort of building up this kind of aura of like dread as you go through. The very first story that you see, or running story you see, is a woman who keeps getting her hair pulled by something that you can't see, and then eventually she will shave her head, and it goes back to her grandma telling her to do that at certain ages, and that kind of links back to this sort of folk horror kind of countryside belief in this random god that's mentioned throughout. I don't quite know how all these stories link yet. I think it's interesting that a lot of it revolves around hair and contact with people pulling your hair that you can't see and things like that, because I think that sort of builds on quite a primal fear. This does a lot of things well, but it kind of also doesn't always work, just because it has such a non-linear storyline. I think you have to work hard to read it, and I think it's probably something that you would read and then go back and read again to make sure that you know how all the stories connect, and I think some people would find that quite difficult to follow. It is also, like I said, quite out there with the initial kind of creepy moments, so if you're not keen on a jump scare or a quite a creepy thing, this might not be the book for you. It is worth having a look at though if you're interested in horror, and horror told quite differently. If you do delve into the series and read it, do let us know in the comments below what you think, because we're still deciding.